All right, and welcome back to the channel. We got a really special video here today. We're here with Keza, who just got top 4 at the latest RBET Online tournament with Amaryllis Theft. Welcome to the channel. How you doing?
Hey, yeah, good. How you doing?
Pretty good. So obviously, right when I saw that you were in top 8 is when I tuned in and saw this performance you were putting on. I had to reach out to you. I had to sit down and talk to you and just kind of pick your brain on, why you chose to play Amaryllis for this event, and specifically this version of Amaryllis that I like to think that I popularized in the way it's currently built. And I see you've made some pretty interesting and awesome changes to it. So I kind of just want to start off with what made you play this deck.
I've been a quick draw player for a while. The one thing that sort of appeals to me for Edison and quick draw, I suppose, it's a very slow deck, and you just sort of get to take your time, and it's that back and forth between you and your opponent, and see if you can outplay them. And Titania was sort of like the boss monster for that deck. And most of the times you play quick draw, and you don't really summon Drill Warrior because you neg up to 3 cards if you out protect it. So it becomes really disheartening. It's like when your boss monster can be such a big neg, so a lot of times you're playing just float Titania and Kaias all the time. So when Amaryllis sort of came a bit more popularized, it was, oh, this is kind of cool. Let's transition the deck a bit towards this, and started on the Hamster Ryko sort of build and Hidden Armories, and then ended up with this sort of build.
Nice.
Bit more awesome control.
No, one of the first things that jumps out to me is the double Amaryllis, but I'll ask you more about the actual build after we get through, because I kind of want to know about how the rest of your tournament went, because obviously you made it to top 4, eventually losing to, I believe you mentioned, Quick Draw. I had only tuned in once I saw top 8, and I saw your top 8 match, but I wanted to know just some of the other matchups you faced throughout the day, and any like, kind of tight, close back and forth matches, or was it a lot of 2-0s in your favor?
I honestly can't remember my full matchups, like whether it was 2-0 versus 2-1, to be honest. But my first matchup was a bit of an odd one. I hadn't really played the matchup too much. It's the Evil Hero Dark Gaia.
Oh yeah.
Deck. So that caught me off guard game 1. So I think I went 2-1 for that one. Just didn't really have any side deck for it, but skill drains sort of came out pretty strong.
Yeah.
For that one, and then I played an Amaryllis game 2. I think, and that was 2-0. And then I ended up playing, of all like the 300 or so people, ended up playing my mate in Australia. We got matched in round 3, and he was playing the Dragon Control.
Nice.
I think it is the one that stops you changing positions.
Oh yeah.
Is it Blizzard?
Yeah, Blizzard Dragon.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I played him. So yeah, it was good deck. I think he'd done pretty well as well until he got to me, and then. It's just unfortunate we play each other at locals all the time, and then you get matched in a 300 or so tournament. So
that's the way it goes. It's always that way, right?
Yeah, it is, right? And if when you go somewhere to locals, you end up playing the same people over and over. Yeah. So, and then I played Machina deck, which was pretty good. I played pretty well on that, I think. Like in terms of actually looking at my replays, I was pretty happy. And then I think I played a Dragon Turbo, which I think was on the stream.
Nice.
Actually, that was game 7. That was the one where he side decked into Exodia.
Oh.
So he played Dragon Turbo, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Kagan's thing. He played Dragon Turbo and game 2 side decked into Exodia and got Exodia off.
Wow.
Against me. Yeah, so that was pretty fun, to be honest.
That's actually just wild. Like that's
I was happy. Yeah. And then just I think it's Disaster Dragons was my other match as well.
Oh, wow, a lot of dragons for you then. That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of dragons. Yeah. So, it was pretty good. And then I think the finals I played Chill Phil, who ended up winning it, and lost to him. He just pumped me, just threw so well, and could not do anything against him.
Yeah, that's fair. It's always gonna happen, right? Eventually, you have those not bricked hands, but like maybe not optimal hands. Like you're gonna run into them eventually, but Chill Phil, from what I've heard and seen in the Discord, he seems like he's a pretty good player. So, but I mean, regardless, like topping RBET, let alone getting to top 4 is just fantastic. So, congrats again on the run itself. So,
Yeah, cheers, man.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, getting back to your actual deck list here, there's a lot of really interesting choices you made, and I kind of wanted to ask you about some specific cards. But as a whole, how do you feel about the deck after going on the run that you did? Is there anything about it that stands out that, you know, maybe overperformed, underperformed, different things in the side deck that maybe didn't come up as often as you maybe had hoped for? Stuff like that.
In terms of the main deck, I don't think anything really overperformed or underperformed. I didn't play any value turbos.
Mm-hmm.
So actually I did that was like my game day 2, sorry. That was my first match.
Oh, okay.
Of day 2, sorry. So I didn't really get to steal a lot of hamster and Rikos and get that pop-off effect, or I didn't play any Blackwings at all, so getting to use the Gale secondary, like summon off the Bora Sirocco. What's whatever the 1800 one is, I'm forgetting names.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was pretty good. No real standouts, but like the Valley, getting to use Valley with your mark and your mind and your brain control, and it's just so good. It just lets you play however you want to play. You can slow the tempo down and just sit on a Valley, or you can, you know, go for plays using those steel cards and draw out your deck. It just helps with any sort of bricking, which is like a big problem with this deck. And I didn't really find I bricked at all, really. And when I did, it was bricking on, say, a Cyber Valley, which just bought me 2 more cards.
Nice. Yeah, I know that's the inspiration behind me maxing out on it in like my initial build of the list, is just like sometimes you don't want to just mill, because like we're not as pure of a mill deck as, like, let's say like a Lightsworn, where you have like a million good targets and only like 1 or 2 cards you don't want to see. Like there's so many duels where like I'd sit there and I'd mill my Mark of the Rose, I'd mill my Miracle Fertilizer, and it's like, oh, okay, like that's just gone now. Like that's just not an option that I have coming to me. So being able to draw and mill, and like especially like with value, like you're seeing multiple cards every time you get off either of its effects. So I found like the strength of it, just being able to see more of your deck outside of the graveyard is just super impactful. So I'm glad it worked out in your favor. I'm glad you liked it too.
Yeah, it definitely suits the style I want to play than just live and die by the mills. And obviously that still happens, but like you get a bit more control over it, which is nice.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that jumps out right away for Amaryllis players, I know you're not the only person who's experimenting with it, but double Amaryllis. I'm curious what your reasoning behind cutting it down to 2, and did you at any point miss the third one?
I've been playing with 2 Amaryllis for probably, I'd say, 4 months now.
Nice.
And I guess my trajectory for the deck is less of an Amaryllis burn. I'm not playing towards that. It just adds that floater for my Titanial, or it adds that game pressure, I suppose, that they need to clear it, or my Titanial sort of becomes a bit more live. So I don't really need 3. And I found 3 essentially leads to more bricks. It might sound dumb to say that, but
no, I definitely.
Like a lot of the times, I'm not trading in necessarily my Amaryllis or my Titanial. Sometimes they just get flipped with Raigeki Break, or like I didn't feel like I needed it for that third one. I don't really know how to explain it too much. We just found that 2 did enough. You know, if one got banished with Crow, the second one was there. But like it's not the win condition; it just supports Titanial and gives that floater. So 2 was enough. Yeah,
we kind of share the same viewpoint on that. Is like a lot of people call the deck Amaryllis burn, but I'm like, I'm controlling the board with Titanial when I win games. Like it's once you get down to that like last like 2,000 life points, Amaryllis becomes the win condition
100%.
pretty quickly. But you know, if the duel goes long enough and you get to that point, like you're gonna have at least 1 in your grave, and usually that's enough to get you there. So it's once like it's very rare that I have 3 in grave and I'm summoning all 3. You know what I mean? So it's I can definitely see where you're coming from in regards to that. Obviously, oh sorry,
I was going to say, usually I found you don't have the engine to support 3. Like you can't be banishing all those monsters. And in my list, I had another 8 plants.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough to be able to banish them all. Like if you want to keep your miracles live and your marks live, you don't need the third one most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
At least that was my experience. Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense, right? One of the other big things that jumps out right away, outside of the morphing jar, which I'll ask you about in a bit, but you're still on the one Raikou. I'm just curious, is it just a preference thing? Like you're just too big of a fan of the versatility, being able to hit monsters and back row with it, or you just
Hamster Raikou Kai's thing.
Yeah.
You're playing a deck that runs mind control.
Mhm.
If I can get a hamster, flip it, get a Raikou, and then some Cyber Valley, I go +2 there, plus I draw. So it's just
very valid.
it's too good not to do. And a lot of times you might be running into that hamster, and then you just mind control the Raikou and flip it the same turn.
That's true.
And then use your Valley, and it's just so many pluses. You pop a card, you draw 2, and you get rid of their light in the grave. It's too good, just for that same reason why Gale, I suppose, is very good in this deck. Like if you steal again, I can't think of the name of the 1800 Blackwing.
The Shura.
Shura, that's it. Yeah, if you steal a Shura, you get the plus off it straight away, and no one expects it.
Yeah, for sure.
No, even if you just mark any Blackwing monster and then you special summon Gale, it's the same sort of premise, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. One of the other things I know that jumps out, as someone who frequents the Amaryllis Discord in format, Edison format, I believe is the Discord that it's in, but the Gores. I personally love Gores in this build of Amaryllis because you don't telegraph it by going summon Cyber Valley, banish 2 cards to draw 2. You don't telegraph that you have Gores because you're using your normal summon, and you're still leaving yourself with a wide open board in that case. So I found it came up a lot more in this kind of a build. So I'm curious if that's similar to your reasoning behind having it, as well as it being another dark for Chaos Sorcerer, or if there was just another reason for it.
Pretty much what you said. Like a lot of times I find myself not just leaving Cyber Valley on the field. I'm usually summoning it with the intent to use its second effect most of the time. Very occasionally I've used the third effect, which again, most people don't even realize exists.
Yeah.
But Gauze, yeah, you're drawing 2 cards and you're leaving your field open a lot of the time. So having that Gauze there is just too strong.
Especially when you can like draw into it off of the Cyber Valley itself. Like
100%.
It's just value. Like it's super unexpected. So
yeah, and it's just like I don't think of it as a brick. It's a trap essentially in my hand. So, and if you are building a deck which does break a lot, it's nice to have something you can just put that 2700 beater on the field and be like, I can buy some time if I need to.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm liking this conversation because I feel like you see cards in this deck very similarly to how I view them, and it's refreshing because I feel like I've butted heads with a few people in the community over trying to justify, like the Chaos Sorcerer, for example, is a card that I'm like super high on, and I refuse to cut from like the Theft build of Amaryllis. And I'm very curious how it performed for you throughout the tournament, if it came up at all, or if it was
definitely came up a few times. I did brick me my quick draw game at the end, but that was a different factor. I was stuck under my own skill drain. But the benefit, I suppose, and that comes back to Gauze again. Gauze gives you a token which I can then again banish with my Valley, which is a 3+1. Sork is just very good at the whole point of the deck, and one of the big, I think, differences when I chatted to you about this when you first put your video out, was I don't think you had Return in your deck, and for me, Return is the biggest bomb this deck has.
Yep.
And when you're running Valleys plus Sork and the Amaryllis, it is just amazing how much damage and how many times I've won off Return. Yep. Like we don't get to do that. It's usually just a Vayu Turbo that gets to just summon all their Siroccos and pump it and kill you with this. It's amazing, and the amount of times people will banish Bottomless, Titanial, and you're fueling your grave with the Valleys and the Sork. It just adds more weight to it being a good card in the deck.
Yeah, no, one of the biggest things about this deck that I've learned over the last like year and a half, almost 2 years of playing it, is that it's very strong being able to play Titanium Control. Like it's one of the powerhouses of Edison as like a standalone monster, but the deck is super linear in what it's trying to accomplish. Like we didn't have Dark Arm Dragon the way Blackwings has it, or Chaos Sorcerer and Dark Arm like Vayu has. So it's like you can lose matchups to those decks in unpredictable ways off of top decks, right? In Amaryllis, it's very much do I have Amaryllis engrave? Yes or no? Is Titanium board, yes or no. And it's once you answer those two questions, you know exactly what's going on. So being able to play the Chaos Sorcerer and the Return, it's just two powerhouse cards that value takes advantage of. And I looked at this list, I'm like, yeah, we can just take advantage of it too. Like we have the banish mechanic built in with the Mark of the Rose, with the Valley, with the Chaos Sorc. It's just so good. Like the number of times that I've played this list and played it with Return, that you can easily get a draw 4 plus summon a Titanial, where you summon back double Valley and a Lone Fire, and then just 2 other random monsters, and you just draw 4 cards and summon Titanial from deck. And it's like, how do you come back from that as the opponent?
Yeah.
Like it's just an insane amount of advantage at that point. So I love
very
that it worked for you. Yeah, no, it gets a little ridiculous. So
yeah, it's like if you just summon attack with the Titanium and then your other Valleys in the field, you go, well, they're going to get banished anyway. Let me just draw, like you said, 2 cards, 4 cards from it, or you summon the Lone Fire and you tribute those monsters off that were returned.
Mm-hmm.
And because you tributed those monsters, they go back to the grave for more Amaryllis fuel. But you've got 3 plants in the field now because they don't go. They don't get banished at the end of the turn because they were summoned by Lone Fire. So there's just so many aspects to it.
Exactly. No, it's just kind of a crazy interaction for sure.
Yeah. The deck definitely needed a bomb.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it definitely lacked a bomb card, and that sort of fills that requirement for me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. As far as the rest of the deck goes, I would say like spells and traps. Like the lineup there is pretty straightforward, pretty standard from what I've seen out there recently when it comes to Amaryllis. Obviously, like you said, you like the double Mark of the Rose and just skipping over the Hidden Armory DDR package. You said you really like that, which is awesome. The Morphing Jar is the big one, because I feel like this is such a polarizing card with Amaryllis, where it's like a lot of people say you have to play it. I've played it, I've not played it. I'm curious what made you put it back into this list, or if it ever wasn't in a build of Amaryllis that you've played.
I don't think it's ever been out of my builds.
Nice.
Again, as a quick draw player, I love putting it in. Because you're constantly losing card advantage. And I think when I initially started playing Amaryllis, it was playing with, I don't know, 4 or 5 discard cards. So you just, on top of your trade-in, so you're always hand negging. So being able to get that back is also nice. And when you do hit that Morphing Jar, it can just completely win you the game.
Yeah, for sure.
People just don't expect it.
Yeah, and I think because you play the Raikou, you can justify the jar more, because it's not... Like, once they see you play Raikou, it's like they can get in their head about, okay, that might be a Raikou set. Or it could be a tomato, it could be Sangan, like you have options. Dandy as well, yeah.
It's just too good. And if it gets off, you win the games mostly. And the trick is just, I suppose, learning how to set a Morphing Jar, and can you get away with setting 2 or 3 cards, or like, and a lot of times you set Morphing and you don't care if you lose your Amaryllis or your Titanial from your hand or your Plague from hand. They're just fuel, so it's not like it's a neg for you as much as it is for them.
Yeah.
That's probably the big factor for me.
Yeah, I also guess I like it too, the fact that like you do play the powerful bombs in Chaos Sorc and Return, as well as Trap Dust Shoot. Like if you draw any of those cards off of a Morphing Jar, like odds are like it's just too good. Like you could have a hand that has like you said, you could have a Plague Spreader, you could have a Sangan, a Cyber Valley, and if you send those to grave and draw Chaos Sorc off the top, like that's just unbelievable value right there, on top of drawing into 4 other cards alongside it and resetting. Because one of the things I struggle with is Dust Shoot. It's one of the most powerful cards in Edison, but also like sometimes I just can't bring myself to put it back into this list. But I think playing the Morphing Jar would make me more comfortable playing the Dust Shoot, because you have a way to reset hands back to above 4. So I kind of like that interaction also exists in your list.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've opened, say, Morphing Jar, Dust Shoot, Raigeki Break, and you just set those 3 and I just won't pull the trigger, let them attack. And then you get the plus, you Raigeki Break their monster if you want to, or whatever sets they've got. You get them Dust Shoot next turn and you're ahead 5 cards. It's very nice.
Yeah, it sounds a little ridiculous when you put it that way. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, I guess as far as main deck goes, I don't have any other questions. How was the side deck for you? Was there anything that didn't come in at all, or maybe you liked a bit more? Like I like pretty much every card in here. Starlight Road's the one that I guess I'd have questions on, and how often you were able to side that in and take advantage of it. But other than that, everything else is pretty standard side deck stuff for Amaryllis, it seems.
Yeah, pretty much that would be the one thing. The Starlight and the Dust I didn't really use too much. Again, having no Black Wings play against,
that's true.
It didn't come up as much. I started my Starlight Road in against Quick Draw, just for the threat of the debris recycling into Black Rose. But the Starlight was there for the Quick Draw, Black Wings, and the Light Sworn. But I didn't play the Light Sworn or the Black Wings, so in theory another Chapstone could have come in. I think I was originally, it might have been your build. I saw you ran the Beast Kings.
Yeah, with the skill drain
for sure, inside, yeah. But when I tried it in practice, it was one of those things where it was, if you don't draw them both together, it just feels very, there's no dissonance, I suppose, and it just makes it.
That's very fair.
It's one of those win harder cards and less of a. I just wanted to remove the variance as much in the deck as I could, just make it as consistent as possible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Great when it works together, but that was the whole philosophy, I suppose, in building it, was to just limit that, the bricking, and to make it consistent. So I just went with the staples, I suppose, in the side.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's no notes. It looks fantastic. It's basically my exact side deck now. I'm not gonna lie. Like mine is like, I think Road, like you said, is just another Trapstone pretty much. But as far as other questions go, I don't have too much. But if there's anything else you wanted to say or talk about that I didn't prompt or bring up, now would be the time.
No, not that I can think of. I think one thing I see brought up a lot for extra deck is like you've got to have Red Dragon.
Oh, okay.
In the extra deck, and for me, I never really pull off that Red Dragon Amaryllis.
Same here.
Shenanigans, it just seems a waste, especially when you're trying to play a control game. To me, it doesn't make sense. I found the Gotems to be much more impactful.
Yeah, it's very situational, but if you play Hero Frogs or you play Machina, like you can out two pretty threatening cards just with a Plague Spreader and a Mark of the Rose. So I agree. The Gotems is just, it's situational, but you're gonna wish you had it if you just play a bunch of Hero Frogs and Machina in your tournament run. So
and the good thing, you can also take it off Goyo Guardian as well. So
true.
The Goyo Guardian plus Gale gives you Gotems. So there's another aspect, I suppose, of it. It's just it came up much more often where I wish I could just be able to add that. Usually it's the gear frame. You want to get rid of them, so being able to just mark it and put Gotems on the field, 3100 beaters, pretty nice.
Yeah, and if you already have like a field of Titanium and maybe like a Chaos Circ, like if they're low on card advantage, you can just rip a card out of their hand if you want to. Like that's kind of funny, but 3100's a bit threatening, so just leaving it there is never a bad thing. So, but did you? I cut you off there. Sorry about that.
No, you didn't. No, you're good. You're good.
I was just gonna say, if that's it from you, I just want to take the time to congratulate you again on your tournament run. It was awesome to see someone take this deck and show the success of it, because I know that the tournament I entered with it, that I was hyping up and did the series for, was the worst showing possible, I would say, for a deck that I tried to hype up so much. So felt very vindicated. I was very I had a little moment to myself where I was like, you know what, I did something cool here, and it just needed another pilot with a different tournament run, and I couldn't be more happy for you. So it was awesome to see, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down and talk to me here today. So thank you.
No, good. I appreciate it, and appreciate the work I suppose you've done to sort of bring it to the attention and sort of make it a viable deck. It's good to see, and it's good to see the community growing as well, and there's always discussions to seeing how we can make the deck better, which is good. And good for all those Amaryllis I've got lying around to sell off.
That's pretty fair. Can't blame me on that one, you know.
I know, right?
Rarity Collection 4, the reprint's coming. Everyone can cope, it's coming, but I don't know. But yeah, I guess we're going to wrap it there. For all of you watching, thanks for watching to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Hey there, appreciate you sticking around to the end of this video. If you liked what you just watched, please check out one of the recommended videos or playlists on screen. If you enjoy content on Edison Yu-Gi-Oh! Including deck profiles, deck building theory, meta and card discussions, as well as retro video games, I would appreciate it if you subscribed and gave this video a like. I am Chris Lindsay of No Suck Gaming, thanks for watching.